Good morning, my brothers and sisters. Welcome to episode number 6 in Be With Me. I'm going to start with a little joke today. We're in 1 John chapter 2, and the famous verse today is verse 2:16. For all that is in the world, the desires of the flesh and the desires of the eyes and the pride in possessions is not from the Father, but is from the world. So here's the joke. The joke is a guy comes for a job at a church, and the eldership asks him, hey, do you have any besetting ongoing sins? And the guy's answer is, well, other than the lust of the flesh, the lust of the eyes, and the pride of life, I can't think of anything. That's the joke. All right. So I thought today that this was going to be a lesson that would major on those three big categories. But really, overarching those things, and not to say that those things are insignificant, this is really, I'm going to major on love. This is really a love story of humanity with God. And the person in the story that is manifesting these three big sins is a person who, in a sense, is loveless and is doing the behaviors of being a loveless person. He gets sidetracked from genuine love and starts loving these junior things. The Bible is a love story. And if you're doing these three categories of sin, you're kind of missing the point, which is a love of the Father, a love relationship with the Lord. All right, so here's the whole passage that puts it in the Oreo cookie, if you will, of love. The title of my section is Do Not Love the World. This is 1 John 2:15 through 17. Do not love the world or the things in the world. If anyone loves the world, the love of the Father is not in him. For all that is in the world, the desires of the flesh, the desires of the eyes, and the pride in possessions, is not from the Father, but is from the world. And the world is passing away along with its desires, but whoever does the will of God abides forever. So the Bible is a love story. You're supposed to have this relationship with the Lord, and you can get sidetracked to doing these three things that are mentioned. First is the desires of the flesh, which is wanting things, wanting to please our sinful selves, the lust of the flesh. So there's lots of good things on this planet, but it's inappropriately valuing them. The second one is the desires of the eyes. That is wanting sinful things, that also known as the lust of the eyes. Remember we talked in Hebrews chapter 11, and people there were commended for the faith. Faith is something that you're trusting in a promise of God that you don't yet see. You're trusting in a promise that you don't yet see. And in the meantime, you're trusting in the person of God and having a relationship with the person of God while you wait for that promise to come true. So this is living life as if this is all there is. It's using your eyes wrongly. The contrast is choosing the priorities of this world as opposed to that world, and the eyes only are kind of down here on this world. So the problem with this person's eyes, as described here, is they have worldly eyes and they don't have these heavenly eyes. The third thing is the pride in possessions, the pride in riches, the pride in the things that we have here, or at least the things we think we have here. Remember, he tells you just after this, verse 17, the world is passing away. Don't forget that. So anything you quote unquote have is going to pass away that isn't eternal. So about the world, yes, it's passing away, and that everything that people want in the world is passing away. The point is, we were supposed to be wanting something from the next world. It's having kingdom desires and kingdom satisfaction. So the big point of this passage is, don't love the world's ways and don't love the world's good, for they can squeeze out the good stuff, which is this primary relationship of real love. Again, the Bible is a love story. Yes, it's a sin story, but think about this. When we're sitting around in heaven for 10,000 years, having lunch or doing worship or whatever, chatting with each other, we're not going to be talking about sin. We're going to be talking about this amazing love story that the Lord did. Now, sin will be a smaller a part of it. And, the lust of the flesh, lust of the eyes, and the pride of life will be a small part of it. But the main story is the love story. So the person that we're looking for here is a person who does what God wants. There is an agency that is involved in here. That is, your desires can be steered and decisions can be made that move you towards the Lord. It means doing decisions and tuning your heart is a good way to think about it to the Lord, rather than hyper-valuing something that is not going to last, that is stuff in the world, and devaluing the someone who made the world, and he can make another if he chooses, and specifically this relationship with someone. So the charge of this passage is to abide. That is, love the love of God. Love the interior presence of the Father. Love God more than sin. More than, the sin that you struggle with. It's the who do you love and who does love you. It's this abiding with God, God's will, God's kingdom, God's place, and it's abiding and training ourselves, making decisions to remain in the love relationship. It means to stay right here with me and demonstrate this by our relationship of doing. So what struck me about this passage was not the lust of the eyes, the lust of the flesh, of the pride and possessions. It is that this is a relationship with the Lord. It is a love relationship with the Lord that's supposed to go on forever. And I think if we do this right and we understand this right, this passage is less about sin. I know there's a lot in there about sin, but less about sin and more about our love story, that we get to be involved in a love story with the Lord. Thanks for listening.